Welcome back to the barbershop. Great Tusk versus Landorus-T. Who will reign supreme in OU? It's the showdown of the two OU GOATs. The breakdown. Lando-T has long been the most used Pokemon in OU by a massive margin, generation after generation, but with his absence in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, a new bulky offensive ground type has taken the reins. With insane usage since release, Great Tusk marks a new high as the #1 most used Pokemon in the game at a whopping 57% usage stat. That means it's on over half the teams on the OU ladder. But very soon, Pokemon Home will drop and Landorus-T will make a vengeful return to reclaim the throne as the premier ground type on the ladder. What will happen? Who will dominate the OU tier? Will Great Tusk be ousted, or will the new Pokemon King continue its reign? Today we break that down and pit them versus each other, factoring all their possible builds, moves, items, spreads, terras, abilities, and more in an effort to predict who will be the premier ground type of the Pokemon OU tier. Let's go. Right off the bat, we see a very similar stat distribution between these two hulking ground beasts. Landorus-T rocking a 600 base stat total, while Great Tusk totals 570. On the offensive side, Lando reps an incredible 145 attack stat, allowing him to make excellent use of Choice Band, and has amazing boosting potential with access to Swords Dance and Bulk Up. Great Tusk also boasts an impressive 131 attack stat, and also makes great use of Choice Band and has access to Bulk Up. But while they both hit incredibly hard with the Stab Earthquake, Great Tusk utilizes an even more powerful move in Headlong Rush, though it drops its defenses like Close Combat. Speaking of CC, Great Tusk hits incredibly hard with this stab option, while Landorus is limited to Superpower or Hammer Arm, but it does get Stab Fly, which can work in the right circumstances. Moreover, both of these monsters get access to Knockoff, giving them excellent item removal utility and strong Dark-type coverage. Now, Landorus has long run its staple momentum move in U-Turn, something Great Tusk wishes it had access to. This works even better for Lando in tandem with its Intimidate ability. Great Tusk, on the other hand, does have access to Switch Initiative in the item Eject Pack, but it's only a one-time use and comes at the cost of its item slot. While this works well on a hyper offense build, Tusk makes much better use of other items such as the aforementioned Choice Band, Leftovers, Rocky Helmet, Heavy Duty Boots, Assault Vest, Booster Energy, and Focus Sash if used as a lead. Speaking of Leftovers, Rocky Helmet, and Heavy Duty Boots, these are often staple items on Landorus-T as well, as one of its primary roles is a defensive check and momentum pivot. However, Great Tusk sports an even higher defense than Lando at 131 and 90 respectively, although Lando's defense oftentimes functions as higher thanks to Intimidate. This allows Great Tusk to hit very hard with Stab Body Press while running a defensive set. Now, Landorus also has access to Explosion, which is very powerful and great for momentum, and it typically is only used on a Focus Sash Stealth Rock lead set, though it can also be utilized with a Choice Band or with Choice Scarf. Speaking of rocks, of course Great Tusk has access to this, and he's one of the most premier stealth rock users in the game at current. And while we're talking about hazards, both of these behemoths have hazard removal. Great Tusk with Rapid Spin and Lando with Defog. Goldango blocking both. This is why it runs Balloon to avoid getting O-code by Earthquake. Yet another reason to run Knockoff. Both of course have access to Stone Edge, and we are nearing where Lando-T's physical offensive move pool ends when compared to the vast physical move pool of Great Tusk, including moves like Play Rough, Ice Spinner, Head Smash, Fire Fang and Thunder Fang, Mega Horn, Heavy Slam, Zen Headbutt, and Endeavor, which works great on a lead Focus Sash set, especially after a Rapid Spin. But Great Tusk can't make use of its abysmal special attack at 53, while Landorus rocks a very usable 105 special attack, which has long been used to run hidden power moves such as Fire for Scizors and Ferrothorns, and Ice for Garchomps and other Landorus-Therians. But it can also utilize a fully special set to catch the opponent off guard with moves like Earth Power, Focus Blast, Psychic, Weather Ball, Grass Knot, and Sludge Bomb. As far as sweeping capabilities, Landorus likes to boost its speed best with a Choice Scarf and power through with that 145 attack stat, or it can perform the deadly Double Dance with its access to Rock Polish. Great Tusk can speed boost much easier, even on an Assault Vest build, while removing hazards with Rapid Spin. It also has the option to speed boost with a Booster Energy or in the Sun thanks to its Photosynthesis ability, and a specially tailored spread, though it's not nearly as optimal as boosting its attack or defense with Photosynthesis. At this point, I must make a disclaimer. Some or a lot lot of the aforementioned moves that Landorus-T has previously had access to may be removed upon its arrival in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. On the other hand, we could see a lot or all of these moves return in the DLC The Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, should there be move tutors present. Now, Great Tusk has a massive 115 HP stat, making him extra bulky, especially on the physical side. Landorus also has a solid HP stat of 89, but beats out Great Tusk in the specially defensive category, sporting 80 base SPDF to Tusk's frail 53. Both Pokemon again make solid use of an AV set, and Landorus can even live quad super effective Ice Beams with AV, though both have to forego Rocks with an AV. And finally, the two are closely speed tier at 91 for Landorus Therian and 87 for Great Tusk, speed tying back Excalibur, the Dawn. However, this is pretty significant advantage for Landorus, as it'll naturally be able to outspeed all Pokemon base 90 and below, and there are a lot of Mon with this cutoff, such as both Moltres, Lucario, Hisuian Arcanine, Porygon Z, Excadrill. While Great Tusk misses out on Excadrill by 1 point, it will still outspeed the large lot of base 85 speed and below, like Rotom and Glamora at 86, Rillaboom, Tapu Fini, Nidoking, Goldango at 84, Kleavor, Quaquaval, Como-O, Hisuian Samurott, and Ceruledge. With all of that said, the showdown. Of course, Landorus-T is a shoe-in to OU, and rightfully so, as it always has been. However, it will be very interesting to see if it has lost its staple moves, such as Knockoff or Defog, Swords Dance, or maybe even U-Turn. But let's assume that it keeps its full move pool, and I'll say right now, if it does get access to spikes like Garchomp, this thing may even get banned to Ubers, finally. It may also get Headlong Rush, which would be terrifying. Now, at first glance, it appears that Landorus-T just hard checks Great Tusk, switching into it, intimidating Great Tusk, and being immune to its ground stab and resisting its other stab in fighting. Even discouraging Great Tusk from setting up rocks as it threatens to defog or U-turn out for momentum, or even a Power Herb Fly for massive damage or a KO. However, Great Tusk has two words for Landorus: Ice Spinner. If one thing is for certain, we will see significant rise of Ice Spinner on Great Tusk for Landorus, for which it may have to drop Stealth Rock, Rapid Spin, or Knockoff, which is great news for Goldango. So I predict we will see plenty of Lando Goldango cores for this reason. Calc time. Now, after an Intimidate from a standard Landorus-T defensive set, Max Attack Jolly Great Tusk does about 52 to 62% to Lando with an Ice Spinner, only going lower if Lando goes max defense. Without an Intimidate active, Great Tusk lands a massive 77 to 92% to standard defensive Lando, giving it a chance to OHKO after rocks. The problem is that offensive Great Tusk outspeeds defensive Lando and can 2-hit with a second Ice Spinner if Lando does not U-turn out, while Lando also struggles to do much damage to Tusk if not running Fly or a special move like Psychic or Grass Knot. If physically uninvested, Landorus-T's Earthquake does about 32 to 37% to uninvested Great Tusk. Decent chip, but not enough to threaten it out. However, long has Landorus-T been the target of Ice-type attacks, and he's always answered with, "Knock knock, who's there? Yachi Berry. Yachi Berry who? I just knocked it off." So here are where the mind games really begin for Lando versus Great Tusk. Who will outspeed? Will it be a defensive or an offensive set? What item is the other carrying? Rocky Helmet, Yachi Berry, a Choice Band, Life Orb? Will Lando have a special move for Tusk? Will Tusk knock off or Ice Spinner on the predicted Lando switch in? Contrarily, will Great Tusk switch hard into Lando, predicting the Stealth Rock and eating up a knockoff or an EQ or a U-turn? Will Landorus U-turn out, predicting this, but receive Rocky Helmet damage from Tusk? And who will finally get rocks up? Better yet, who will finally be able to remove hazards in the face of such uncertain danger? Enter Terastallization. Of course, Landorus may opt to Terra Flying, as it gives access to Flying-type Terra Blast, which can easily 2-hit KO uninvested Tusk, and OHKO if it's running Max Attack Adamant. But if Tusk is max defense, Lando only lands Terra Blast for about 57 to 68% damage, and easily eats Ice Spinner being a pure Flying type, but 2 can play at that game, says Tusk, as it terras into its beloved Ghost type, or a pure Ground type, Water type, or even a Steel, Electric, or a Rock type, which resists the Terra Blast Flying but makes Tusk weaker to EQ. Funny how well Ground and Flying type work together to cover each other's weaknesses, huh? Without diving too deep into all the Terastallization options here, let's suffice it to say that there are plenty of counterplay options, which may or may not become predictable or even meta over time, if your Terra isn't saved for an even more offensive sweeper in the back. Enter Corviknight. Just kidding. Well, kind of, not really actually. The terrestrialization mechanic opens up such a massive realm of additional mind games and variants that it'd be impossible for me to cover all the interactions and counterplay here. So what's ultimately going to be the safest route for your team is to switch into a check and scout out the other great beast of OU, determining if they'll be able to hurt you or counter you on the next interaction. And this isn't looking too good for Iron Treads, might I say, but it is looking good for Zapdos and Rotom Wash, especially if that thing gets defogged back. And because of this, team building has never been more important, as these massively overused Pokemon need proper support in order to perform their jobs to the fullest capacity, and stay healthy in the face of such super threats like Greninja, Iron Valiant, Dragapult, Volcarona, Walking Wake, Rotom Wash, Dragonite, Azumarill, Hatterene, Baxcalibur, Pelipper, and more. The verdict. It will be exciting to watch this battle for OU ground-type supremacy play out, as we've never had a second bulky utility ground-type Pokemon with a kit so similar to Landorus-T, such as Great Tusk before, even claiming the #1 usage stat in Landorus' absence and setting new records of usage percentage of 57%. What you can certainly count on is Lando-T returning to greatness and being slapped on a ton of teams, especially in an effort to counter Great Tusk in the majority of the physical metagame. And as such, Great Tusk may opt to run Ice Spinner more frequently, or perhaps stick to knockoff to remove Lando's item and still be able to hit Goldango. The release of Pokemon Home and the re-entry of all these data mine Pokemon will reset the entire Scarlet and Violet meta, shaking up all of OU, team building, cores, movesets, items, Terra types, everything. But there's one question you may still be asking. Who wins? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have the classic case of the unstoppable force meets an immovable object. It'd be foolish to assume that Landorus isn't going to continue its dominance, especially given its new shiny toy and terrestrialization. However, if it does lose Defog, Knockoff, or other moves, it does not help its case. Great Tusk is a massive force to be reckoned with, and it's dominating the OU metagame with incredible power, bulk, and utility. So the answer is both. They will both almost certainly remain at the very top usage of the OU metagame, the top 5, top 10 most used Pokemon for months or even years to come. Like I mentioned, it'll come down to team building and team design. Who is your intended and ideal Terra user on your team? Is it King Gambit or Garganical, Skeledirge or Roaring Moon in the back? Or do you intend to Terra your Landorus into a pure ground type or pure flying type, or a water type or a ghost type? Or how about your Great Tusk? Do you need it to survive Lando-T and return fire with an Ice Spinner? Or should you switch into something better suited to check Lando? However you build your team, be it balance, bulky, or hyper offense, even stall in some cases, either Landorus-T or Great Tusk may be best for the situation or your build. Or maybe neither. Maybe Zapdos plus Excadrill or Iron Treads will be your choice. Or maybe it's both. I can see situations where having both Lando-T and Great Tusk on the same team can work together to get the job done. With all of that said, I leave it up to you to decide who wins in the comments. Who will be your choice? Who will you be using? And why? And who do you think wins this showdown in a 1v1? But if I had to place a Vegas bet right now, Landorus wins. Yeah, Lando. Assuming it doesn't lose defog, I see Great Tusk's usage percentage slowly falling and leveling off at a rate below Lando's usage, perhaps even slowly falling out of the top 10 most used Pokemon in OU. Fable. That's all for this Pokemon Face-Off. I really hope that you enjoyed. Please drop a like if you haven't already, and remember to subscribe so you don't miss my premium Pokemon content. And remember to click that notification bell, bros. I love you so much. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care. God bless.